Peace, flower, gods and goddesses, and welcome to my channel. It's your girl Monica, aka Mahogany Sun, and I am really excited about today's video because even though I'm sitting in my car because I had to sneak out of the house to get some time to myself for once, I'm going to be sharing with you guys some really cool, dope information. Y'all know I'm all about Sankofa Divine, which basically just means getting back to the divine, getting back to that divine knowledge, that knowledge that us melanated, beautiful black people need to have in order for us to continue on this spiritual awakening and as a collective get back to who we were. Okay? So, today I'm going to be talking about Egyptian astrology, ancient Egyptian astrology. A lot of people, pretty much everybody who studies astrology studies it through a Greek lens because that's all the information that is out there, or at least that's the forefront of the information that is out there. When you research zodiac signs, the first thing that comes up is the Gregorian calendar and the Greek-inspired zodiac signs. But if you are black, if you are of melanin, if you are of African descent, we should be studying a completely different calendar. The ancient Egyptians did not believe in the Gregorian calendar. The Gregorian calendar wasn't even created until I think the 1940s. I believe I read they classified it once the Greeks got with Egyptian culture. They I guess they changed the name to the Cairo calendar. I'm not sure the original Kemetic name for the calendar or the system that the ancients used, but I do have a little bit of knowledge on the structure of their astrology, the names and the dates for the zodiac signs. So we're going to dive into that so that we can get a little bit more acquainted with that knowledge. Okay, so here we go. So under Egyptian astrology, we now know as the Gregorian calendar where we have 365 days, and our zodiac signs are represented or personified by Aries, Taurus, Scorpio, Gemini, Leo. You know, these animals or these anthropomorphized figures that ultimately represent Greek culture and not ancient Egyptian culture. Okay? In ancient Egypt, their calendar was basically derived of three categories. The first, you had favorable and unfavorable days. The second were included mythological events that determined whether those days would become, or whether those days were favorable or unfavorable. And then you had how you were supposed to behave on each of those days. All right. So now we understand, in order to understand how the zodiac system came about, or how it was learned and used, we must understand a couple of terms. Okay, so the first term is decan. What is a decan? A decan is a group of stars. Each decan contains 12 constellations, which forms 36 decans. Each decan has its own ruling planet, covers 10 degrees in the zodiac, lasts for 10 days. So this structure basically formed the Egyptian calendar. The Egyptians knew that it took 365 days for the Earth to orbit around the sun. So they broke down the numbers and the science of this to represent, so that each of those days ultimately had a purpose. Okay, so if you have 36 decans lasting 10 days each, that will give you 336 days. For the extra 5 days at the end of the calendar, those were in honor of the original Genesis gods and goddesses and were used for special events or festivities. Now we know in the Gregorian calendar there are 12 zodiac signs. This is also true for the ancient Egyptian calendar. But instead of the Greek personifications of the zodiac, the Egyptians used gods and goddesses. Okay, so each god and goddesses, if you were born under a certain zodiac, you were represented by that god or goddess, and they ultimately determine your character, your behavior, your strengths, your weaknesses, and your skills. Okay, so each sign covers 3 decans or 30 days, 1 month. So for every one sign, there are 3 decans lasting 30 days. Okay, 1 month. So 1 zodiac per 3 decans or 30 days. Each, so although you and a friend can have the same zodiac, you can fall under different decans because you will be ruled by a different planet. Each decan is ultimately ruled by a different planet. So now we need to talk about and understand which of the following gods and goddesses represented each of the So now we need to talk about which gods and goddesses each represented which zodiac and what dates they fall under. And then I'm going to talk about, I'll give you the first zodiac in this video, and then in subsequent videos I will share with you the remaining signs and their corresponding zodiacs.